Hello folks, Typhoon Carter here, running a little late. We have a Perp vs Zap lead, and this is a showdown between BKC and Groudon. Tyrants versus Classiest. Tyrants are up 5-3. We see a Scizor in on this Starmie, and Starmie is going to show Protect, which is something I've definitely never seen before. And Scizor here going to be in danger of actually being killed, so this Starmie with the Protect coming in quite handy, showing that it is CB Scizor. And BKC got a Zap B squad with the Empoleon now dropping rocks, so Groudon showing double water plus Scizor. And you got double steel, so some overlaps here on types. But that being said though, Groudon is a heavy underdog going into this matchup, despite the fact that their records are not all that far apart. That said though, BKC looked completely dominant the last time they met, and gonna be able to force a bit of a loop here. And the Roserade is brought out on BKC's end, so this Roserade could have T-Spikes. And Empoleon here with like lefties, Grass Knot, Stealth Rocks. I imagine the other move is probably something like Surf. Maybe there's like a Roar, or like Rocks free attacks with Surf, Grass Knot, Ice Beam. That's something I can also see happening. So this is our first real slowdown of the match, and we are all fully caught up. And as per how things might look for Groudon's team, Groudon looking like a balanced team, BKC looking like maybe it's got like one of those old school T-Spike squads, and Toxic Spikes is in fact thrown out, and Groudon shows the Gengar. Could threaten a substitute here. If that's sub, then this could be a real problem potentially, but if this Roserade's bulky, then it should be okay. And sometimes Roserades in the back do run bulk, but again, Roserade generally not a super common sight, but we've seen a handful of times here and there this SPL. And Groudon really burning clock here. And we don't know if this Roserade has sleep powder or not, but we're gonna find out soon enough. And Spikes is revealed, so what this tells us is that this Roserade does not have sleep powder. This is mostly due to egg move compatibilities in Gen 4, so this means that Roserade usually can't run all three of, say, Spikes, T-Spikes, and sleep powder on the same squad. But Gar showing taunt here and doesn't have any recovery, so this Gengar is looking to be maybe something like Lumberry. That's what I imagine. It's not a bad item choice on Gengar because it lets you temporarily take paralysis from something, say a T-Wave Zap. Like let's say you're in range of KOing it or something along those lines. But yeah, Groudon's team doesn't exactly have a lot of longevity. The T-Spikes being up, unless Groudon has a spinner, which on this kind of structure I sincerely doubt he has it. Then the Swampert's going to be permanently crippled by T-Spikes, and that's not a great look. And BKC bringing T-Spikes, not a bad call given a fair bit of Groudon's teams, like at least some of them, have been like maybe a little bit vulnerable to T-Spikes at times. Especially like if it's like those offensive teams, like, you know, the Infernape offenses, stuff like that. Like that's probably the main thing. And Groudon burning some clock here. And as for the rest of BKC's team, you know, you got the Zapdos Starmie, Rose, could be looking at a Heatran in the back too. Like maybe some kind of like fire, water, grass core. The other steel type I could see BKC running is maybe something like a Metagross, Jirachi, perhaps. And Groudon just going to opt to sack the Scizor, and the Roserade's hidden power is revealed to be HP Fire. Groudon showing an Infernape here, so the T-Spikes is not a great look for Groudon right now. So the Infernape is going to be worn down even further. If you're BKC, I wonder what you do here. I think I would probably, if you go Starmie, you do risk being U-turned on, which Groudon might have to play that way. Zap, I don't think is a particularly great switch. And again, on these kind of teams, like if there's T-Spikes, I imagine like BKC could also be running something like a sub CM Ironhead Thunder Rachi, like Osgood Rachi. Could also see something like sub Roost Zapdos. That's another thing I could imagine. And then the Starmie being Protect suddenly makes the T-Spikes pick make a lot more sense, because the idea is that you use it to kind of wear things down even more, and that hidden power is going to do absolutely nothing to Flygon. My guess is that that's probably hidden power Electric. The reason you would run hidden power Electric on Infernape is most likely because, say, your team does not have a great Gyarados check, or you're using it as a Gyarados lure while still hitting Starmie, although it's primarily for Gyarados, as I've stated before. And this Flygon here could be threatening a kill, maybe like a it could be threatening an EQ here, could U-turn, depends on what it does. Now that we know that the Infernape does not have HP Ice. More clock is being burnt here. And BKC firmly in the driver's seat right now, as most of his team is relatively healthy. And there goes the Gengar switching in on a U-turn, so BKC could bring something like a Starmie out if the Starmie does actually kill Gengar. That's something he could absolutely do. Again, not too sure about the calcs off the top of my head. Instead, BKC's got to play it safe, bring out Roserade. So Hidden Power Fire was already shown, so this is probably T-Spikes Spikes HP Fire with Grass Knot. That's what I imagine. And the Roserade looks like it might be very bulky, like could be like a very bulky Roserade if BKC is just completely okay with bringing the Rose in on Gengar like this. Like just a lot of HP investment, a lot of bulk investment. You know, so there's that, and like the Gengar's not running Life Orb, so like the power drop off's going to be rather noticeable. Infernape brought out again into this Roserade, so Groudon again, like you have to have a Healing Wisher or a Slack. Okay, yeah, it just shows Slack, so Groudon bringing that Infernape in makes a lot more sense now. And Starmie's gonna get this Rapid Spin off, however this Empoleon is going to threaten a Grass Knot, and Empoleon's going to get rocks up. BKC anticipating this and is able to bring the Zapdos in safely. If the Zapdos has Substitute, which on a T-Spikes team to me makes a lot of sense, this is a great time to sub up. And what do you know, BKC does exactly that. So the Pert now eating Toxic Spikes, and it's going to be permanently on a timer, so Groudon does not love this. This is a very brutal matchup for Groudon to run into. Like T-Spikes has always been a very mixed bag, personally, and not to mention that the Zapdos can pressure stall the Pert. But yeah, the main thing really though is that like T-Spikes just really cuts into like Swampert's longevity. The big reason why T-Spikes has never always been super consistent is primarily due to the fact that like Clefable is such a big presence in the tier, and a lot of teams generally only have maybe one T-Spike poke that's like weak to T-Spikes in general. So there's that, and Groudon with the Latias out could be bluffing a Scarf, and Groudon doubles back out to Empoleon here, trying to see what BKC's switch was gonna be against this Lati. And the Metagross is going to just kill. It's just gonna kill the Empoleon outright. I don't think that would have normally killed, but here we are. And that Metagross shown lefty, so we could be looking at like some kind of specially defensive Metagross on BKC's end. And Gengar brought out here, maybe trying to get a Wisp off, and what do you know, it gets that off exactly. Pretty standard moveset on Gengar. And yeah, that Shadow Ball kind of does nothing to Gengar, all things considered. And the Rosary is going to trade down. Gengar extremely weak now, so it's just gonna die to like a Flygon U-turn on the follow-up most likely. Or Starmie, yeah, that works too. And now the Latias is brought out. Could be bluffing Scarf here. Actually, no, I think it has to be Scarf on this cat team, because where's your speed control otherwise, like for other Scarfers, is my main thing. Like, but BKC has Protect here, so he can just scout it out, and he does just that. Lottie does in fact Trick. I think here, if you're BKC, you could probably go Flygon here if you, and hard call the Latias being Choice Scarf Trick. Granted, Choice Specs Trick isn't out of question either. If it is Choice Specs, then that'd be really weird. But the thing is that you can take advantage or stay in, I suppose. But yeah, my main thing I was thinking was that, like, if you bring the Flygon in and the Lottie tricks, what you can do is that Lottie can only trick. So if it happens to be a Choice Scarf, and like that's super great for a Flygon. If it's a Choice Specs, that's like also whatever, because it's still lock into Trick. But I guess he wants to be a little bit more safer against the Infernape. Infernape is in fact brought out, knowing that the Starmie is locked to Rapid Spin. And Groudon burning a lot of clock right now, and he is super behind. I don't know how he wins this. And the last is revealed to be Hippowdon. Not the last I was thinking BKC might have, but on this kind of team it does make a lot of sense. Because of the fact that, like, you just kind of need that catch-all check, right, to mix attackers. You kind of need Hippo to kind of check stuff like Jirachi, or like just like random things where like just strong physical attackers, or like CB-Tar. Having a CB-Tar switch on this team is tough. And ouch, that Draco Meteor is going to take out the Hippowdon just as I was saying that, and Flygon is going to threaten to kill. If you're Groudon, I think you have to play for, like, maybe, I think if you have Outrage here, I think you have to let it rip if you're Groudon, because the Pert has already taken a lot of passive damage. And yep, the next best out that, actually no, I don't think Groudon has any more outs, to be honest, because he's lost this game. And yeah, this Pert's probably gonna die to Outrage, and it does just that. And even if you say got the confused with Infernape and whatnot, then the Starmie that's Choice Lock, the Choice Scarf, will just kill you. So yeah, BKC with a dominant showing over Groudon yet again. And I believe this game is going to put the Tyrants up 6-3 as we're speaking, so they are one win away from moving on to finals. But the other 3 players on BKC's team is going to have to win. That being said, though, rough showing for Groudon, and if they go to tiebreak and your Tyrants management, you're probably picking DPP. And then if they pick DPP, it's like, I don't think you can put Groudon against BKC again. You probably have to put somebody like Behe, but again, the Classiest have to win out to even force a tiebreak. And this was just a very nice showing from BKC in general, as he just looked in command the entire game against Groudon from start to finish. Whether it's the Protect Starmie really coming in big, denying that Pursuit Trap against the Scizor, as the Starmie proved to be a pain later on. So yeah, really nicely played from BKC. That being said, though, if you guys enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.